Prosody for 14th readings. Irenaeus of Lyons, Against Heresies, chapter 24, the doctrines of Saturninus and Basilides. The rise of Saturninus and Basilides among the Gnostics who gained influence were Saturninus of Antioch near Daphne and Basilides of Alexandria. Each, seizing favorable moments, developed their own teachings. Saturninus, echoing Menander, taught that there is one Father who is unknown to all and who created angels, archangels, powers, and authorities. The world and all it contains, he said, were fashioned by a group of 7 angels. Humanity too was formed by these angels, who tried to capture a radiant image that had emerged from the supreme power. When the image escaped back upward, they said, "Let us make man in our image and likeness." They did so, but the man could not stand upright, instead squirming on the ground like a worm. Then the higher power, out of pity, seeing man was made in his image, sent a spark of life which enabled man to stand, move, and live. According to Saturninus, this spark returns to its own kind after death, while the rest of the body dissolves into its original elements. A bodiless Christ and 2 kinds of humanity. Saturninus further claimed that the Savior had no birth, no physical body, no form. He only appeared to be human. He also taught that the God of the Jews was merely one of the angels, and that Christ came to destroy this God and save those who carried the divine spark. He was the first to propose that there were 2 races of humans, one evil, one good. Demons supported the wicked, while Christ came to destroy both them and the demons. Marriage and procreation were said to come from Satan. His followers practiced vegetarianism and asceticism, luring others with an appearance of piety. He also said that some prophets spoke under the influence of the angels who made the world, and others under Satan. Saturninus taught that Satan was an angel opposed to the world creators, especially the God of the Jews. Basilides, expanding cosmos. Basilides, desiring to surpass others with a more refined doctrine, proposed a sprawling system of emanations. First came nous, mind, from the unborn Father. From nous came logos, word. Then from logos came phronesis, prudence. Then from phronesis came Sophia, wisdom, and dynamis, power. These 2 then produced the powers, principalities, and angels who made the first heaven. From these came more beings and more heavens, each made in succession, one after another, until there were 365 heavens in total, matching the number of days in the year. The world and its false creator. The angels of the lowest heaven, the visible one, made the world and divided its peoples and territories among themselves. The leader of these angels, Basilides said, is thought to be the God of the Jews. He tried to make other nations subservient to Israel, which provoked the other angelic rulers to oppose him, causing enmity between the Jews and the other nations. The true, unbegotten, nameless Father saw this conflict and sent his firstborn nous, Christ, to deliver believers from these false creators. Christ appeared as a man, performed miracles among the nations of these powers, but he did not suffer. Instead, Simon of Cyrene carried the cross and was transformed to look like Jesus. He was crucified by mistake, while Jesus, being a spiritual being, changed his form at will and watched the crucifixion laughing. Those who understand this secret reject the crucified one and worship the spiritual Christ who only seemed to suffer. To confess the crucified Christ, they say, is to remain enslaved to the powers who created the world. Only those who deny the crucifixion understand the true mystery of the unbegotten Father. Denial of the body and moral indifference. In Basilides' view, only the soul is saved, for the body is destined for decay. The prophecies came from the powers who made the world, while the Jewish law came from their chief, the one who led Israel out of Egypt. As for meat sacrificed to idols, he considered it meaningless and ate freely. He viewed all physical actions, including sexual acts, as morally indifferent. His followers practiced magic, used images and invocations, and engaged in elaborate rituals. They claimed to know the names and ranks of the angels who ruled each of the 365 heavens. They also said the mystical name by which the Savior ascended and descended was Kalaka, secret knowledge and hidden beings. Those who understand all these mysteries become invisible and incomprehensible to the angels and powers, just as Kalaka was. Like the sun who was unknown to all, they too are unknown, even while knowing everything and passing through all things. Their motto is, "Know all things, let no one know you." Because of this secrecy, they easily recant when challenged and claim it is impossible for them to suffer persecution, since they conform outwardly to any group. Only a few can grasp these things, 1 in 1,000, 2 in 10,000. They deny being Jews, but also say they are not yet Christians. They hold that their mysteries should not be spoken openly, but kept secret. Gnostic mathematics and Abraxas. They calculated the location of each of the 365 heavens using mathematical principles. Adopting mathematical theorems, they built a complex system of heavens and attributed to each specific names and rulers. Their supreme being is named Abraxas, a name whose Greek letters add up to 365, symbolizing the full scope of their cosmology. Augustine of Hippo Confessions, Book 10, Chapter 19. What it is to remember. Searching for the forgotten. But what happens when the memory itself forgets something? Suppose we know we've forgotten something and try to recall it. Where do we search except in memory itself? There, different ideas may arise, one thing being offered in place of another, but we push them aside until we find the one we're after. And once we do, we say, "That's it!" But we wouldn't recognize it unless we already knew it, and we wouldn't know it unless we had remembered it. Clearly, then, we had forgotten it. Still, perhaps we hadn't forgotten it completely. Maybe part of it was still present in memory and was searching for the rest, realizing that something was missing. It's like when we remember a person's face but forget their name. As we try to recall it, irrelevant names arise, but we discard them because they weren't typically associated with that person. We keep searching until the correct name appears, fitting and familiar. Traces that guide the search. Where does that correct name come from, if not from memory itself? Even when someone else reminds us and we suddenly remember, it's still our memory confirming it. We don't accept it as something new. We recognize it. But if it had been completely erased from memory, even another person reminding us wouldn't help. We wouldn't recall what we don't even remember ever knowing. So when we search for something we've forgotten, we haven't entirely forgotten it. We still remember that we've forgotten. But if the idea is wholly lost, then we can't even look for it. Thomas Aquinas, Summa Theologica, Part 1, Question 83, Article 1. Whether man has free will objection. It seems that man does not have free will, for whatever is moved by another is not free, but God moves the will, as it says in Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, he turns it wherever he will. Therefore, the will is not free. Man does have free will, and we must affirm this as part of the foundation of moral responsibility. If humans lacked free will, there would be no praise or blame, no justice in laws or punishments, and no meaningful deliberation about good and evil. Free will means the ability to judge and choose among options. Now, some things act without judgment, like a stone falling or fire rising, while other things, like animals, act with a kind of instinctive judgment based on sense perception. But man has a rational nature, which includes the capacity to weigh universal principles and make decisions accordingly. Because human beings act not only from instinct but also from reason, they can choose among alternatives and are not forced to one course of action. Even if reason is influenced by passions, or if God moves the will from within, this does not destroy freedom, it elevates it. God's motion is not coercive but interior and consistent with our nature as rational beings. Therefore, man truly has free will. Quick summa. Yes, man has free will because he is rational and capable of judging and choosing among various courses of action.